Okay, we just began 238. We just began the Mechaber. Kol arboa meaning the four species of the lulav, psulim, begozul, begonuf. If they're stolen, bein lifnei yush, bein lachi yush. Whether you have the four, meaning before the owner despaired, or even after they despaired. Avul gozlo, gozul ukano, below siyah mitzvah. Goza lulav vishipo kosher. The kanya machine in Meiser. What happens? He says he stole it, then he acquired it. Unrelated to the mitzvah, Kagon, he steals a lulav, and then he alters the lulav. He perfects it. It's kosher. It's kosher. Why? The kanya machine in Meiser. The Jew himself. The Kanya B'Shina Ma'aser, because he acquired it with the alteration. No, this is no person. The Torah says Ve'esher Gzela Shegozal. There's a Torah obligation. You steal something, you must return the stolen object. But it says Ve'esher Gzela Asher Gozal. That you stole. What happens? It's not exactly as you stole it because you made an alteration. Whether you intentionally made the alteration, what happened by itself, or some third party made the alteration. So the object is not as you stole it. The Torah says the thief acquires the object, it becomes his object. And now the obligation is its value at the time that you had stolen the object. That's the Torah law. Torah law and the rabbinic law. Okay? It's called Shinu Koneh. With the alteration, you acquire it. So over here, he steals the lulav off the tree, and then he goes and he perfects it. Let's say there were leaves that were decaying, and somehow he perfects it. And it's something, it's no longer that it's different than when he took it off the tree. So now he could use that lulav for the mitzvah because he acquired it with the alteration. Umiu, nevertheless, lo yivorech olav. But to say a bracha, he should not say a bracha. I mean, it's not considered mitzvah above avera, so therefore he could be yotzi the mitzvah. But to be able to say a bracha, it's inappropriate. No. What, the bracha? No, it's not. It's not appropriate. Since its origin is something which is theft. We mentioned yesterday, although under normal circumstances you could rely on chazaka, but in terms of regarding tzitzis, right? But you should not say the bracha unless you've checked your tzitzis. But we always go after presumed status. But to say the Shem Hashem on something, and we don't rely on presumed status. You have to factually know that it's not posel. Similarly here, although it may be kosher, but this is not the optimum state of doing a mitzvah. The Raisi now requires to say a bracha, period. It's all rabbinical. Because you've changed it. It's not the object you stole. It's not haram. It's not haram. Doesn't make a difference, but this object doesn't make a difference. But this object is not the stolen object. So if it's not the stolen object, it's not mitzvah b'aveira. Mitzvah b'aveira is that the object is the same object. A side issue changed. The person was miyayish. He despaired, but it's the same object. Here, it's not considered the same object. The object has been altered. We'll see. No. The owner despaired. The owner despaired. The thief stole it. We'll see the Mishna Berura. No. That's not called stealing. No, he stole it, then subsequently the owner was miyayish. The owner despaired after it was stolen. Okay, we'll see.
It should be the same. If a person steals money and buys matzah, you shouldn't say bracha.
It's not the same. It's a different object. It's a different object. This is the same object. This is the object that was altered. You've altered. It's not mesh, it's understood he's not yotze. It's not lochem. Right? It's not, the chiddush is that even though the owner despaired that it's no longer considered the owner's, nevertheless it's still considered mitzvah above avera. We'll see. What about a third party takes it? What about a third party takes it? There was no alteration. It's when it says Gaza lulav gaza v'gonav bein lefnei yish. When we say before the owner despaired, after the owner despaired, Is it speaking about the thief? What about a third party? Right? Let's say the thief goes and sells it to a third party. Could the third party not be Yotzi? We'll see the Mishna Berura in a moment. No. There, the thief, there's no question. Right? Correct. For him, what about for a third party? Now he would give it as a gift to a third party or sell it to a third party. Third party definitely acquires it. Right? Let's say he would want to marry a woman with that object. She's Mukadeshus. After Yush, because the obligation of returning is only on the thief, on the third party, when it enters his domain, it's ownerless. He has no obligation to return it. So the third party can acquire it. But the question is, what about for a mitzvah? We'll see.
Rabbi,
Yeah, definitely not. It's not.
what if he stole money and bought a kosher lulav?
Well, it's not a mitzvah, but there may be another problem. Because the seller, it may not be a valid sale, because the seller only sold him believing that it was the money that he received, he had a right to receive the money. But, I mean, now it's going to be revealed it wasn't a valid transaction. Because the money, you can only purchase something with if the money is yours. If the money is not yours, you can't purchase it. Right? It's like using it without a person's permission. No. You steal coins, you must return those coins. Today also. You steal dollars, the obligation to steal, once the dollar is gone, so of course then it's replaced, then it's restitution, right? There's tashlumim, you replace it. But if you have those original dollars, person can't say, well, I'll take other dollars and I'll return different dollars. You have to return the coins or the dollars that you actually stole. The Gemara goes to the point, discusses a case in Bava Kama, you steal coins, you steal bullion, and then you mint coins with the bullion. Right, so you've altered it. So the Gemara says you have to return the coins. Because since the coins could be smelted and restored to the original bullion, therefore that's not considered, it has to be a permanent alteration, where it cannot be restored to its original state. And since the coins could be melted down and restored to the bullion, you have to return the coins. We'll see. Let's see the Mishna Berura before we go further. You see over here, it's clear. V'yesh misha omer, let's go just another line in Mechaber. The lo nifsel gozol v'gonov el leganav el gazan atzmo. So that means the first opinion that he cited, if it's stolen, whether it's before Yush or after Yush, you're not Yotzei. This is even for a third party, not only thief himself. Then he says, v'yesh misha omer, which is more, the lo nifsel gozol v'gonov el leganav v'gazan atzmo, only for the thief himself. So definitely it's not speaking before Yush. If it's before Yush, it's still the original owners, correct? So we're speaking after Yush. But for a third party, it's valid other days, chutz miyom rishon. So we have to understand. We speak with Yush, it seems to it has to be after Yush. Because if it's before Yush, then using it without permission, you're a thief. Right? You're also a thief. Besides, you have a chiyuv, hashavas avedo, other things we'll discuss. No, let's say you do know. You do know. What? He does know, it's understood. If you don't know, you don't know. I mean, you don't know, so.
How does the thief know that there's Jewish? I mean, is there a 30-day limit? Is there a 7-day limit? Is there...
Let's say somebody heard the man say, the Gemara said, what's Jewish? Vailuch Sarakis. Woe to me that I've lost my object. Well, let's say it's a lulav, a palm branch you can't identify. Let's say today, person steals a lulav. You could say definitely the owner despair because there's no way to identify the lulav. I mean, you have hundreds of thousands of lulav. You're gonna locate your lulav, right? So at best, you're hoping that either he returns the lulav, probably not, but eventually, when you locate him, he'll pay you the value of the lulav that you paid for.
So what's the difference between the other days and the
Because the first day you have to own it. You have to own it. The other day, shula, you can be yotze with a shoal. It can be borrowed. It's not a problem. Let's see the Mishna Berura. The Gozul V'gonov, why aren't you Yotze if it's stolen? Right? The Chsiv L'kachtu Lochem Yom Rishon, V'hai Lochem Mishalachem Hu. Lache Yush, the Yush Kedi Lo Konik. Now, we're saying Yush in its own right is not sufficient. Here we're talking about the thief himself. because even though the owner despairs, you still have, because since you stole it, you have an obligation to return it. Yush in its own, by itself, is not sufficient to acquire it for the thief. As if, so if you give it to a third party will acquire it. Regarding the subsequent days, that's going to be the question.
He finds it for liability, but he doesn't acquire it.
Who?
Is that what he's saying?
No, no,
We give him the ownership status.
no. He's not getting. We didn't go there yet. We didn't go there. A thief does not acquire a lulav, any object he steals, even if the owner should despair. Why? So the Gemara says in Bava Metzia, because isur bo liyodo. Because since when he stole it, he had an obligation to return it. The yush doesn't absolve him of that obligation, right? Because the obligation preceded the despair. That's called isur bo. A person goes and finds a lost object. Fine, that doesn't steal. Let's say a person finds a lulav before the owner despairs. Subsequently despairs. Could that, the finder, could he be yotze with the lulav? The answer is no. Because since the obligation of Hashavas Aveda preceded the moment of despair, so he has not, the obligation hasn't been relieved. He's not relieved of the obligation. He must return the object. Right? Same idea. Below siyua mitzvah, what is it? He says, but if he stole it below siyua mitzvah, pirush akinyan shekona also hu nase kodim kiyam mitzvah. Lafugim hu al yidei mitzvah shel tilas lulav got shemchoro lo beofen shekono b'mishicho v'igbil lemefek beg. What's the if he stole it? If al yidei mitzvah shel tilas lulav got shemchoro lo, he sold it to him in a way he acquired it through taking it, lifting it. Kid al yidei mitzvah nas kinyan v'lo yotzo. Davli mitzvah bo b'avero. He's speaking of this. A thief steals a lulav. The owner despairs. The thief is no question, he cannot be yotze. Let's say he gives it to a third party. And let's say the third party, now he would give it as a gift to the third party. The moment the third party takes it, he acquires it. It says, wait. After despair. Because that's called Yiyushini Rishus. There was despair, and now there's a change of domain. No alteration. Let's say the thief, when he gives it to the third party, he takes it, he acquires it, and he has in mind when he takes the lulav, he's going to be yotzi with that taking. The third party. Okay? There, the first opinion is he's not yotze. Why? Because it's the act of acquiring it which caused the transfer. That's called mitzvah b'avera. The object that's entering his domain is still an avera. Once it's his, he could use it. So if he acquires it initially, now he says he wants to be yotze, he can be yotze. Because he acquired it, so this object now is unrelated to the original transgression. But what's with the acquiring it, he wants to be yotze. As he takes it, he says, the acquisition from the thief, I'm going to fulfill my mitzvah. That's mitzvah b'avera. Because as the transition was taking place simultaneously, he wanted to be yotze the mitzvah. No.
Because the moment the loser has despair, it becomes it's owned by the thief. Before this new man takes it.
Okay. So let's talk a little what we call lumdus. Okay. There's an argument among the poskim, among the rishonim, when a person despairs, does it become ownless immediately? What do we say? No. It remains in the owner's domain until a third party acquires it. Okay? No. So what's the halachic difference between these two opinions? Let's say a person despairs, and then the loser or the victim, he notices the object. And he's able to recoup it. He's despaired. And before he's able to recoup it, a third party takes possession. That there's a halachic difference. If you say the moment you despair it's ownerless, So if that's the case, the third party takes possession, it's his. But if it's yours until a third party, it enters into a third party's domain. So if at that moment I'm no longer in a state of despair, so then that object is not available to a third party to take possession. So then if my despair ceases to be at that moment, then the third party cannot take it. That's the halachic difference between those two opinions. Whether it's hefker, it's ownerless immediately, so that means the one who lost it and the one who was victimized, he has to reacquire it. So until he reacquires it, it's not yours. But it's his, atshabo liyad zoche. It's yours until it comes to the possession of the one who has a right to take possession. Whose? The thief's chotzer cannot acquire because the thief has an obligation to return. We're talking about a third party.
No, but the man despairs.
Okay.
Now, doesn't the thief's chotzer immediately acquire? No different than a third party.
No, because the chotzer is the equivalent of the thief. Right? The domain of the thief is an extension of the thief. He cannot. No. No. The thief cannot acquire it. Because his obligation to return it preceded the despair. A third party has no obligation to return it. He never stole it. So therefore, if the owner despairs, and now the thief chooses to gift it or to transfer to the third party, the moment the third party takes possession, it's his.
Once despair has occurred, the thief can be yotze the mitzvah, but not the lulav.
No. We're talking about a third. No, that's where he altered it. Alteration is different. The alteration under no circumstance could he be yotze, because monetarily it's not his, and it's mitzvah b'aveira. Under no circumstances is it his. Alteration because it's not considered the same object. That's the reason. Correct. Great. Even without yush.
So yush is reversible.
Depends. It's a machlok rishonim. It's reversible. According to Rashi, that it's hefker, it's not reversible. According to Tosas and other poskim, it is reversible.
The Yiddish concept is you have to verbalize it or just the
He verbalizes it.
That's the verbalize.
Verbalizes it. Or even if we say with certainty, anybody who would be in this state definitely would have despaired. Even if he doesn't verbalize it, it's gone. Otherwise, you don't know, right? You don't have to verbalize it. The Gemara says that if you lose money, right? Money, you cannot identify the coins, right? The moment you lose it, you despair. The moment you become aware that you lost it, you despair. What? According to Rashi. According to Rashi, it's the equivalent of disowning it. Hefker. That's Rashi's words.
Then, according to Rashi, how do you understand the thief's relationship to the
No, because the Torah says, because since this is the object that you stole, you must return that object.
I understand, you must return it, but at this time before the return is taking place,
I mean,
after use,
because you have to say according to Rashi, it's hefker. But even though it's hefker, the Torah says you still, because it's the object you stole, you must return it.
because it's hefker, he cannot acquire it.
You cannot acquire it.
He had an obligation to do.
Why can't you? Because the Torah says you.
Blocks him,
Because your original obligation to return the stolen object to the rightful owner, to the original owner. Because you took it out of his domain, you have an obligation to restore the object to his domain. He can't sell it. He's not permitted to sell it. But let's say he did sell it. He did sell it. He did the wrong thing. Now a third party, let's say the thief would lose it, would lose the object. The third party could take possession. So selling is equivalent of him losing it. The transaction means nothing, transaction. Let's say somebody would force it away from the thief, would steal it from the thief. After Yush, it's the third parties. Because legally, it's not the thief's. Let's not get complicated. Third party has a right to take it. He's doing the wrong thing by acquiring it, if he does.
essentially, if the thief sells it after use, the third party is actually acquiring something that's hefker.
According to Rashi. According to Rashi.
He's
And
not buying it from the thief, he's buying hefker.
Correct. He's acquiring hefker. Right.
He's taking hefker.
Right. And even according to the other poskim, not like Rashi, although you're not taking hefker, you're taking an object that Torah, the thief's also not selling it. You're taking an object Torah permits you to take. Let's say a person loses an object. Loses an object. The third party finds it. The object he's acquiring is whose object? It belongs, the loser's the one who lost it. It's not ownerless. But Torah says that since he despaired, the finder has a right to acquire it. That's what Torah is saying.
So according to the other ones, how do they understand the ownership issue? So the owner despairs, and now someone is trying to acquire it. So you're saying it is hefker, but it's not hefker.
No, it's not hefker.
What is it?
It's like a person says, I will give you a gift. Person's agreeable to give a gift, and he did not change his mind. Did not reverse his position. And the third party comes, takes possession. So the gifter allowed the recipient of the gift to take possession of the gift. So until but let's say the one who originally said, come and take possession of the gift. And he should change his mind before he takes possession of the gift. So then he has no right to acquire it any longer. Because the object is still in the possession of what? Of the gifter until the recipient takes possession of the gift. Okay? It's Achaboli, it's called Achaboli Yad Zochem. There's the Vezos Haberachah. No, it is true use. Despair is despair. Anybody could take it either way. The question is if the person locates it before third party. In that case, that's the difference. That's the difference.
Now, in the case where the thief steals the lulav, and it doesn't alter it, he cannot use that lulav.
Under any circumstance.
Now, if he alters it,
That's something else. Even without despair. It's a new object.
correct, it's a new object, so you can, the thief himself could use it.
Yeah, but then there's a question, could he say a bracha on it?
Okay.
It's inappropriate.
It's inappropriate because it's stolen.
Because originally this object, although within the monetary context it's yours, and we see it as a different object, but since its origin was from a stolen source, it's inappropriate to say a bracha on such a thing.
And if he alters it, and then he sells it to a third party, totally kosher. It's altered.
To the third party.
To the third party, it's totally
We didn't
kosher.
discuss that case yet regarding bracha. Third party definitely could be yotzei. Now he could even be yotzei.
But he could say bracha.
We didn't discuss the bracha for a third party.
He doesn't know.
So he doesn't know. He doesn't know. I mean, okay, it's irrelevant. We're talking about here where he does know. He does know.
If a person finds an object and it's a suffix, whether the person despaired or not.
So
Should he go the added step, i.e. the finder?
it's not added. It's not added. It's not added. It's not.
No, to make a tikkun. In other words, should he change the object so now it's a
Can I ask you a question? If a piece of meat, that's a question whether it's kosher or not. Well, I'm going to be a tzaddik. I'm not going to eat it. It's not. You're not being a tzaddik, not eating. You're not permitted to eat it. It's a suffix. If there's a question if the person despaired or not, you go after chazokah. The presumption is it's still his. So that you have an obligation to return it. So it's not you're going the extra step. That is the step that you must take.
Two men are walking down the street and they see an item, an owner's item, and it belongs to one of the men. And the other one, and he's despaired. But before he can actually reclaim his object, the other one takes it.
That's right, correct.
So who owns this object?
It depends. It's based on this argument. Is the Rashi and the other?
The other one still has a residual claim.
Correct. Because it's still in his domain. It's only if he's in the state of despair you have a right to take it.
If he was. until he saw it.
But he's no longer in the state of despair. Once you're no longer in the state of despair, the Torah says then you have no right to take it.
Rashi would not agree to
It's
that.
ownerless. It's already been released from his domain. Once it's released, the third party can take it. Whether he's doing the right thing or not, that's a separate
The
discussion.
others are saying that it's never owned.
Correct.
Never owned.
Correct. Yeah. So there's discussion many years ago. I heard this shir. My Rebbe said this shir. The story goes back 48 years ago. I heard this for the first time. Yeah. What? 48 years ago. Okay. Well, David only spoke Afrikaans before he learned English. Okay. So. Okay. It's like Mandarin and Chinese, okay. So, the Vezos Haberachah has a brother who wrote a sefer. He wants to say, according to the other Rishonim, who say that it's in the domain of the one who had lost it, what would be a person finds it, and he chooses not to acquire it, and he chooses to destroy it or to damage it, is he a damager? And he has the liability of a damager. The owner despairs, and the third party now goes and damages it. He could have acquired it, but he chose to damage it. Does he have a liability of a damager to the original owner? According to Rashi, definitely not. But he says, according to these other Rishonim, that it remains in the possession of the owner until somebody acquires it. He has the liability of a mazik, of a damager.
He acquired it before he damaged it.
No, if he did not acquire it before. If he acquired it, it's his. Nobody acquired it. Nobody acquired it. So according to Rashi, it's understood. It's not the original owners. Because the moment he despairs, it's hefker, it's ownerless. Wait one second. Okay? So the brother of the Tzos was a sefer. He says he's a damager. So my Rebbe took issue with this. He says, logically, it doesn't make any sense. If the Torah allows you to acquire it, to take it out of his domain totally, so now that I damage it, the Torah is going to hold you liable for damages. It's true, it may be his, but factually, on a rational, logical level, it's contrary to logic. He's going based on factually belongs to him, so you're a damager. He says, even though that may be the case, but if the Torah allows you to acquire it, the Torah is not going to hold you liable as a damager. Okay, that's the point he made. He disagreed. No, you have to have a kinyon. He never did an act of acquisition. He put a fire to it. He kicked it. He trampled on it. Trampling is not a kinyon. Okay?
It's not a good trade.
Except we're not talking trade. After you use it, it's also on an ethical. What?
Bottom line is he damaged it. Whether you owned it or didn't, he damaged it.
So bottom line, according to the other Rishonim, if it belongs to the original owner, why should you take it? Is it really ethical paving? Is it on an ethical level? It's also not. It's talking purely on a monetary level. Legally, is it yours or not yours? Okay, I just want to see. He wants to make a differentiation here. That if you acquire it, and the change of domain from the thief to the third party, with the taking of the object to acquiring it, you want to be yotze with that taking, that's mitzvah b'aveira. Because the acquisition is what is caused the transition. You cannot be yotze with that. But if you first acquire it, and subsequently, after you acquire it, now you want to pick it up again and be yotze, then you could be yotze. He says, "Shakin shekonosu nase kodem kima mitzvah. Lafukeg imo yidei mitzvah shel tilas alulav kot shimchorelo beofen shekno b'mishicha v'gbio lemefek." He lifted it up to acquire it, and simultaneously, with that taking of the lulav, he wanted to be yotze. Eked al yidei mitzvah nasa kinyan v'lo yotzo. Davali mitzvah bo bavero elo tzorch lag bio. First he takes it to acquire it, and then again he picks it up again to be yotze the mitzvah. What about gozel lulav vishipehu? He steals it, then he perfects the lulav. Rotzloma debeishik zolo hoya adayin mesukin karoi shenucha likro olav shem lulav. Meaning, when it was cut off the palm tree, it wasn't let's say the leaves were decaying, and it wasn't in terms of its physical condition sufficient to be yotze the lulav. And he goes and perfects it. He makes all the alterations. V'utikno b'shipu shelo la'ideize nikra shmo lulav kosher. Why? The kanya b'shini maseh. Because you're acquiring with the alteration. V'zem mahani afil below yush. This is effective even if the owner did not despair. Afil b'yom rishon kosher lotzis bod lachem karina be kev shekano v'dom ba'albu chayiv lo. The thief who stole it, now what is his obligation to the victim? He only has to pay. He's only the obligation of restitution. Okay? Because Okay, I always tell a story during our session, a famous story where Rabbi Yitzchak Elchanan, Spector, the Kovna Rav. There was a story that this woman, she came to Kovna, and they owned a store wherever it was, and they were textiles. And the woman came with a satchel with cash, and that's the way she would buy the textiles. She was staying at a hotel in Kovna, and somehow she lost the satchel. She lost the satchel. And this particular buying trip was the buying trip that would allow them to, this was the capital they needed to run the business, otherwise they're out of business. She didn't know what to do. She lost the satchel. So what did she put an ad in the paper. She put an ad in the paper that if anybody finds the satchel, there'll be a sizable reward. Okay? A day later, she has a knock on the door. She had the address at the hotel. This poor man found the satchel. So the poor man says, I want to do the mitzvah Vezos Haberachah, returning the lost article. But I remember as a child, I learned in Cheder, I studied Elu Metzius, that if an owner loses something, despairs, the fine has the right to keep it. Did you despair? She says, I did despair. I didn't think I'd ever find it. But I had nothing to lose by putting the ad in the paper, but I did despair. He says, if that's the case, I'd love to give it back to you, but factually, I'm at a level of impoverishment, I cannot put food on the table. So if legally I have a right to retain it, I'm not giving it back to you. But we'll go to the Kovner Rov, to Rabbi Yitzchak Inspector. Whatever he rules, that's what I will do. That's what the poor man says to the lady. So they go to the Rabbi. No, but she openly admitted that she did. She gave up hope. She gave up hope.
That's right. By definition, she didn't dismiss
To respond, wait 1 second. No, I wanted the story to resonate, so Andrew has to hear why it's a good question.
Say it under the football.
Okay. Okay. The Gemara says in Bava Metzia, Elu Metzias, that if somebody drops something into the ocean, wait a second, and he screams in the presence of witnesses, I do not despair, I do not despair. It's meaningless. That's called just desperation. You're desperate. She's screaming, you're not despairing. Putting the ad in the paper was out of desperation. She knew she has nothing to lose. But factually, in her situation, where she lost it, she gave up hope of ever finding it. It's that, exactly. Okay? It was in the satchel. Okay? And she gave all the indicators that the satchel was her satchel, wasn't the question. So they go to Rabbi Yitzchak and he asks a question. He asks her, he says, I want to ask you a question. Who owns the business? Are you partners with your husband, or it's your husband's business? 1 second. So she said it belongs, legally, in every sense of the word, it's my husband's. Did you inform your husband that you lost the money? He says, no. If I would have, he would kill me. Right? Therefore, I was hoping, although it's grasping at straws, I was hoping, but factually, I despaired, but I never informed my husband. So she says, the Gemara says, that if the owner, if he would have known, would have despaired, but he was not aware that he had lost it, it's not considered despair. So therefore, he ruled legally, you must give the satchel back to the woman. She gave him the reward. But that's the story. So Yitzchak Hanan said that we've been in Golus way beyond. This is in the late 1800s, mid 1800s. He said, we've already despaired. He said, but you realize, we're not the owners, we're not the proprietors. Hashem's the provider. We may have despaired, he hasn't despaired. Therefore, regardless of what we feel, it's irrelevant. He's still coming to take us. He's still the He's the Balabayus. That's Rabbi Yochanan. Okay.